The way that we see our lives and the way that we experience our lives is not the truth. There really is no one truth for your life, because everything in this life, everything that you experience, everything that you feel is only based on your experiences and your perception of it. And at any time you can actually change those things by widening your knowledge of the situation, of circumstances, of all of the things that you have experienced. If you widen your knowledge about it, like asking other people about situations, asking them about how they see you, how they see your situation, you'll come to realize that nobody has the same exact answer, whether they agree with you or whether they don't. I learned this in a really hard way. I, in 2013, experienced some of the hardest things I had ever experienced in my life. I was 19 years old, and I was going through a divorce, and it was a mess. It was totally a wreck, because I was totally a wreck because of how I saw that situation. And it was not very good for me in the moment. It wasn't very good for me, but it was actually the best thing that ever happened to me in my life, because out of that I ended up taking a class, and I finally grew to understand that I was the person who had made myself completely miserable. And before that, I had no idea that that was the case. I had no idea. I was in a situation where the relationship I was in was not working, and it hadn't been for some time, and it probably should have ended before we even got married. It had been not working. We were both kind of miserable, and I was lying to myself about it because I had the opinion of myself that nobody would ever love me, and I did not know that I felt that way about myself. It would show up in my mind like subtle thoughts, but it never occurred to me that it was possible that that wasn't true. So when I took this class, I finally realized that I had stayed in this awful relationship, lying to myself about how much I loved this person, or that they loved me, or the things that they did meant that they loved me, or it must be because he loves me. That's why he does that thing that totally rips our relationship apart. And I'll stay forever and ever. I was Googling things like how to save your marriage, how to make your man stay, like crazy, crazy things to try and remedy that situation. And the best thing would have been for someone to slap me upside the head and say, "What are you thinking?" And that's basically what happened. No one physically slapped me upside the head, but I emotionally got slapped in the face. And you can just imagine that. Now, think about yourself in a situation that you've been in that is absolutely miserable. Have you ever had somebody be like, "What are you doing? You're in this situation. You can make it better. And not by staying in this situation will it ever get better, but you can move on and you can make your life better. You have so much life ahead of you." And you think, no, I have to fix this. When the reality is, that kind of attitude sometimes destroys us. It destroys our spirit. It doesn't allow us to live. If you are down and miserable, there is something wrong. Something is wrong. And the first place to look is inside of you. What are you doing that might be causing this situation to continue, or might be making you miserable? Like, what kind of perceptions are you having? What kind of thoughts are you having? The best way to do this is when you're in the midst of that situation, pull out a journal and just start writing. Write all your thoughts that you have, all of them. Now, even the crazy ones, you have to write these down or you're not going to be able to see the truth of the matter. And once you have written down every thought you have about the situation, every thought you have about ending it, every thought you have about how to make it better, you need to take it to somebody that you can trust, and you need to ask them for their trust, and ask them not to be too hard with you, but to be honest, and have them read it and say, what is this saying about how I feel about myself? Because how you feel about yourself is the hardest thing for you to see. Like, you know it in your heart and you hear it in your head all the time, but you can't see it because it's you. But if someone else was saying those things about themselves, you would react in such a different way. So if you're experiencing something very difficult, you need to take a look at your perceptions. And it might be really difficult for you to do that, but it's going to be the best thing that you can possibly do, because you can really determine what you can do from here. Once you realize you have power and control over your circumstances, there's only two things that you can do. One is change it. And yeah, that's kind of like a where the heck do I go from here now that I want to change it kind of situation. But it's the most empowering, because the only other option is number two. And number two is just pretend like you didn't even realize that you could change your situation. And that's probably the worst idea ever. It's the worst possible action that you could take, because it is the one that will steal all of your power from you. And your circumstances and people around you will continue to have power over your emotions, your circumstances, and how you feel about yourself, because you not taking control of it gives it to other people. So take control. Take an inventory about what's going on in your life right now, what's going on inside of you, and see where things are matching. If you're staying in a really bad situation, you probably have an opinion about yourself that is causing you to stay in that situation in order to prove that that opinion is true. Take a look. Let me know in the comments what you discover about yourself.